You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you.
Good morning. Grab your cup of coffee this morning. We're gonna have a serious conversation this morning, almost a reflective conversation this morning. So I've got my black coffee here. So grab your coffee and let's have a conversation about leadership in times of crisis. Until a crisis hits, you never know what kind of leader you have inside of you. I think we're seeing that right now play out before our very eyes in Ukraine. So, this morning, as we reflect on leadership in times of crisis, let's talk about 4 leadership lessons that we can learn from the Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. Before we get into the 4 lessons, I want to just tell you who I am, because some of you I can see folks who are on this morning are new. If you're new to these videos, then I am Cicely Simpson. I am here to be your career strategist, to offer you career lessons, career insider tips, and secrets that's going to help you skyrocket your growth and your path to success. But grab your cup of coffee, because we're going to jump in to these 4 leadership lessons. So the first lesson I want to talk about is clear direction. I love President Zelensky's quote. When the U.S. offered to come take him out of country, what did he say? I don't need ammunition. I don't need a ride. I need ammunition, right? I don't need ammunition. I don't need a ride. I need ammunition. Let me get it right. And I kind of read that at first and thought, wow. And then I read that again, and he is as clear-eyed about his purpose right now as any leader you're ever going to see in a time of crisis. He's giving clear direction to his team, to the EU, to the US president, to world leaders around the globe. He is basically rallying the free world around him. Number 2, transparency equals trust. If you're in a leadership role, listen, even if you're not, I would probably argue you understand the importance of transparency. When you are transparent about your motives, about that clear direction, about the situation at hand, you do garner trust from those who are following you, those who you're surrounded by. Transparency breeds trust. And contrary, lack of transparency can breed distrust. Now let's talk about number 3, the third leadership lesson that we learned from President Zelenskyy, and that lesson is focus. Now, you may think this is focus on the topic at hand. I'd actually put that under the clear direction piece. I think his focus is on his people. When you are a leader, regardless of its times of crisis, but especially in times of crisis, focus on your people. Focus on the people who are looking to you for that clear direction. for the transparency, who are looking to you for the next steps that they need to take. Focus on your people, and they will put their trust in you to lead them through whatever crisis or situation may be at hand. Number 4, self-leadership. If you've watched these videos before, you very much know I preach and I try to practice self-leadership. And what I love about President Zelenskyy right now, and, stand in awe, quite frankly, of his leadership, is he's not waiting for someone to tell him what to do. He knows exactly the task at hand. He's focusing on his people. He's focusing on what he needs to do as a leader to bring his country through this crisis. So let's just cover those 4 lessons again. Clear direction. Transparency equals trust. Focus and self-leadership. Now, I want to make one other observation about President Zelenskyy. Not sure if you all know his background, but before this guy became president, he was a former actor and comedian. Now, that's not to say he can't be president. Clearly, he is proving to be an extraordinary leader and president. But I want to go back to where we started this conversation because I think his background very much proves this statement true. Until a crisis hits, you don't know what type of leader you have inside of you. I just want you to think about that this morning. We all show up differently in times of crisis. I read a lot about lessons and do this and do that. You don't have a playbook for what happens in a crisis. When it happens, how you show up, what you do, the lessons maybe that you've learned from others that you carry into that situation, that's where you shine in true times of crisis. But just know, you may say, well, I don't know how to react. Just know there's a leader inside of you that I think will rise. They'll rise to the occasion. So I'm going to see what comments we have coming in this morning. Eileen, good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Words of wisdom. Oh, I hope so. Gary, good morning. Good to see you this morning. Chris, yes, my friend, coffee in hand. That's the way to start. That's the way to start out such a reflective conversation this morning. I can see Chris says, pressure reveals who you really are. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I think, Chris, on that comment, we surprise ourselves sometimes when we show up under pressure. That's why I do believe you really don't know what kind of leader you have inside of you until you have to summon that purpose, that person to lead with purpose. Chris, profound and impactful, the leader inside. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're learning how profound and impactful leadership in times of crisis has been. So thanks for the folks who are here this morning. As always, if you have questions, comments, please leave them below. Listen, we had a great conversation here on Monday. Several people were here, then reached out to me afterwards to talk about annual reviews and things of that nature. I encourage you to do the same this morning. I am not going to tell you how to act in a time of crisis because, as Chris Rivera just put on the screen, pressure reveals who you are. As Chris Prouty says, the leader inside. You don't know who you are until that time of crisis hits. But what I would tell you right now is we all continue to pray and keep the people of Ukraine in our thoughts and certainly hope for a swift resolution to this crisis. I can see no better leader before us right now as an example than Ukrainian President Zelenskyy, and it means nothing for him to tell him that I applaud his leadership, but I think we can learn a lot. I think we can learn a lot from him right now. So I am going to sign off with that thought. I just want to, like I said, grab a cup of coffee, a little bit of reflection this morning. You just don't know what kind of leader you have inside of you until that person is summoned to show up and lead through crisis. One more comment. Thank you for writing your weekly Washington update. Yeah, listen, one of the topics that I wanted to cover this morning, the reason I wanted to cover this topic this morning, so Eileen hits on a good point. Listen, I'm combining my two loves in this topic this morning. I'm combining my love of politics, which is my day job every day, to lobby in Washington on behalf of people who want to make their voice heard in DC, but also leadership. So I see really this conversation this morning as a convergence of those two, which is why I felt so compelled to bring this topic to you this morning. Leadership happens in every form, every single day. It just happens to be in the political realm for this conversation, but leadership happens. Your moment to shine and show up happens every single day. I see we have Chris Rivera says, how would an exceptional leader prepare for unexpected pressure situations? You know what, Chris? It's a great question. I don't think you can. Like I said, I believe times of leadership will reveal the true leader that you are, but I don't know that you can truly summon that person or prepare for that time of crisis until it occurs. Now, granted, you have a leadership style without question. Again, even if you don't have a title and you're not an official leader, what you do every day says what kind of person and leader you are. You don't need a title. You don't need some, C-suite. You don't have to be in a particular role to be a leader. We're all leaders every single day. And I'd like to think the person, the character, the integrity that we have every day would show up, Chris, in that time of crisis. So I don't know that we can prepare, but I think, people say it just makes whatever you are, it brings out more of you. I think that principle is probably true. If you lead with purpose, you're going to come out with a clear-eyed direction and purpose. If you're a person of integrity, then leading with transparency and trust is not going to be a challenge for you. So I don't know that you can prepare, Chris, so much as whatever leader you have inside of you will show up in that moment and will be summoned to lead through whatever situation may be before you. Gary actually responds to Chris and says, fulfill life's purpose on your terms. Believe it naturally comes out in those times. It's like auto mode. It kicks in. 100%. That's a great point. Look, it may be a reflex, that, it just kicks in. But when that moment happens, I think Gary's right. I think you will rise to the occasion. So thanks for the great comments this morning. Thank you for the great dialogue this morning. I appreciate you being here with me. I hope this is helpful to someone, whether you're in a time of crisis right now or not. But when it hits, I know you will rise to meet that moment. Come back here on Monday morning. Join me at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 6:30 Pacific time. Look, we'll have another Monday morning meeting where we get our week started off right. So I'm here every Thursday, every Monday, same time. Have a wonderful Thursday. Continue to pray for the people of Ukraine. Have a good weekend. I will see you back here on Monday.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you